How are we doing, everybody? Good morning from Palermo. Behind me is Il Teatro Massimo, the opera house of Palermo. And it was on those stairs that Al Pacino lost his beautiful daughter.
Dad?
In the third, and arguably the worst part of the Godfather trilogy, Teatro Massimo is not really a theater. I mean, it is a theater, but it's essentially an opera house. There is a second theater down there called Sala Politeama. Let's go and have a look at it. By the way, since we are on the subject of mafia, has your country sent troops to Greenland or not just yet? So here we are back at the Teatro Massimo. We really have a lot to talk about, man, so let's get on with it. First of all, the pride of the city, Palermo, are playing tomorrow against Spezia. A game for the Italian Serie B. A game that yours truly has a ticket. Unfortunately, this time, we won't be photographers with pitch access. Big up Ima and Martino, who hooked us up in the previous video. All right, so check this out, man. This is one of the places I wanted to bring you. Look at this wall. This is a wall next to the Carabinieri building, full of graffitis. Let's take this individual, for example. This guy, Peppino Impastato, is the son of a mafia boss. One of those people who, when he saw the levels of violence, he decided to leave that world. And not only that, but he decided to talk about it on a very popular radio show. Most of them have to do with the justice system and the police. Check him out, Paolo Borsellino. And this is the famous Red Book of Borsellino that got lost mysteriously after his death. And his dear friend Giovanni Falcone. Oh, look at this. This is Greek. So, just like that, you have already been introduced to two major characters in the history, in the recent history of this city. Judges Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino. The two judges were born here in Palermo. And it was exactly that quality that permitted them to actually understand the intricacies of how mafia really works. The Sicilian mafia is known as Cosa Nostra, our thing, you know? Some quite strong words there. This is a square called Beati Paoli, and flipping hell, it looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Let's have a look further and I tell you a story. So look at this, it says up there that this was the old headquarters of the Beati Paoli, the Robin Hoods of the medieval times. A group of individuals who were against both the state and the church. Why the church? Because of the Inquisition. So in order for you to pinpoint where they stand, take everything you know about Robin Hood and bring it in Sicily. That was the Beati Paoli. And the problem with the Beati Paoli and the mafia is that the mafia claim to be the direct descendants of the Beati Paoli, which is weird to say the least. So what would be the beginning of the mafia then? This is a very difficult question, man, because there's not a clear answer to this. And it's a question that we will try to answer in the next video when we get the car and head out to the countryside of Sicily. Look at this thing, man. It looks flipping spectacular, doesn't it? This is the Palermo Cathedral, and it was built in 1185 during the Norman rule. Now, the Normans were essentially Vikings. Those Vikings that used to invade France every summer until the French kings decided to bribe them and make them Christians and consequently kings, some of them. Look at this, man. So this is Jesus crowning King Roger in Greek. What a phenomenal mosaic, man. In order for them to stop invading France. So these French Vikings were, with the blessings of the Pope, invited to come down here and kick the Arabs out. But the Normans were intelligent people, man. They saw that the Arabs were extremely talented and gifted artists. So, after finishing with destroying anything resembling Muslim culture, they introduced the Arab artists to their own creative process, you know? This side of the cathedral being a prime example. There are many prime examples like this of Norman Arabic art to be seen all over Palermo. Let's see, can you see it? Behind me is Liceo Classico Vittorio Emanuele. That is a school. And one very important character in the history of the fight against the mafia used to teach here. It was a priest, Padre Pino Pugliesi. And he is buried in here, in the cathedral, right across the old Sicilian kings. Let's have a look. So first of all, have a look at this, man. These are the graves of the old kings. And you can actually read over there the name of Roger. And right across is the burial place of Padre Pino Pugliesi. Let's honor his memory, and I will tell you about him right after. By the way, I'm still an atheist. When you see me doing such a gesture, it's more because of the admiration for the person and not so much for questions of belief. So, Padre Pino Pugliesi, he was a priest who would teach here, and he was also responsible for a little church in the area of Palermo called Brancaccio. Now, Brancaccio was, back in the day, an area that essentially belonged to one big mafia boss. Padre Pino Pugliesi was not a fan of this situation, and he began immediately teaching the kids the right path to life and not the one of a bandit. And he was actually quite successful. I mean, there are a lot of examples of adults right now who were back then the pupils of Padre Pino Pugliesi. All that until 1993, because it was in that year that the Pope, for the first time, mind you, I mean, until that moment, the Vatican pretended the mafia didn't exist. You know, they wouldn't recognize them as an entity. Until that year, when the Pope, in an appearance here in Palermo, he addressed the subject of the mafia. He said not to repent to the mafiosi. He actually said that they will be judged, you know, the divine judgment. This was the first moment in history that the Vatican would take a stance against the mafia. Now, let's not discuss what was happening before that stance, but that's probably a very big subject of a very big other video. And it was right after this event, months after this event, that the mafia decided to murder Padre Pino Pugliesi. Did you see those pigeons down there, man? So what he did with a beak, you know, constantly picking up from that croissant, is called pizzo in Sicilian. And pizzo is exactly what describes the racketeering from the mob. There is a very conscious effort by the people of Palermo to try and convince the shop owners and the entrepreneurs of the city to not pay the mafia, to not pay the pizzo. Check out this sticker here. It says, Addio Pizzo. What that cafe says down there with the use of that sticker is that they operate without paying the mafia off. I'm not entirely sure why the cafe is closed. Let's all hope it's closed because they are renovating.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, signore. So when you come to Palermo, remember, come to this one. This is the masterpiece. This, I have no words. This is the one with the mosaics. And I mean it. I mean, I'm genuinely upset. I paid €2 for the masterpiece. Big up this lady, by the way. And I paid $2.50 for that. And I don't know why. This down here is the former Jewish neighborhood. And you can see the names of the streets, right? It's in Italian, in Hebrew, and in Arabic. And there is a reason for that, right? The Normans, they accepted in the society both Arabs and Jewish people, especially the ones who had something to offer back to the society, like artists, like architects, like you name it. This is a very big thing, man. And I won't stop coming back to it because right now that we are supposedly much more evolved, we are actually doing like shit, aren't we? English and
Io devo leggere qua.
un po' italiano.
Cosa mi mandano a dire?
Okay, I understand you are looking for an update of your shipment.
Ah, ho capito, devo andare nel costo di dove c'è la tracciabilità. Sì, sì.
Sì, con questo numero. Here we are, waiting for the flipping tram. Did you know that Palermo had a tram? Well, it does. We are out of the tram in this area. So the Pope, the previous one, came to pay his respects to Pino Pugliesi, right? Pino Pugliesi. So his house is back there, but there is also this mural, which is quite devastated. Good for the church, man. I mean, every once in a while they do some good things, I guess. Yeah, a lot of people are writing with a spray on this mural. Ciao, per il museo?
Sì,
Grazie.
apro un attimo.
Viene molta gente qui?
Allora, qui sì, soprattutto durante la settimana, perché magari nel fine settimana è un po' più difficile. Anche dalla Polonia, addirittura.
Ok, questa era la mia prossima domanda. Se vengono stranieri?
Sì.
Faceva, come si chiama? Lezioni di vita ai
Sì.
bambini, no? Per evitare la
malavita.
La malavita.
La mafia. E lui allora, diciamo che adottò questo soprannome.
So I didn't really notice this when I came, but this is actually the place where he was shot. So the two mafia guys, there was one here and one in front of the priest. The one in front told him that this is, I don't remember what he told him. The other guy from the side shot him. What a thing, isn't it? And what a square. Yeah, man, I don't know what to say about this, man. Some things are very difficult to grasp. The good old priest actually slept in the same room as his father. He would sleep in the bed that I don't know how they are called, these beds, when you open the thing. The good thing is that both his parents were actually dead before his murder. so they didn't live through that. The Brancaccio area is actually that one over there, and also over there is the church where Padre Pino would hold the masses. Right, so it's 1 o'clock, I'm starving, let's go grab something to eat and I'll show you the flipping exquisite street food that Palermo has. Check this out, man, sea farm. Is probably the worst way to feed yourself with seafood. It's amazing how, for a place that tries to get rid of the bad reputation, you know, how much they oversell these t-shirts. So we have this wonder called caponata, which is an old fisherman's dish, but when people started doing it at home, they changed the fish with aubergine. Okay, this is aubergine and this is the arancina. Arancina, by the way, it's called like this in Palermo. If you go to Catania, call it arancino with an O. Yeah, man, caponata forever, man. I tell you what, man, this was much needed. Okay, let's go. So, as you can see at the moment, the market is slowly closing down, right? Let me tell you why this is important for our story. Because it is. You see, Palermo back in the 70s and the 80s wasn't the best place to live in. Right now, it's excellent. There is a general feeling of safety, you know? I haven't felt insecure at any moment of my presence here in Palermo. I don't know if you guys know the city of Guayaquil in Ecuador. If you don't know, it's easy to search about it online. It's actually a failed city, you know? It's in the mercy of all the drug-selling lords. I think Guayaquil averages something like 5 or 6 murders per day. At the moment, it's a disaster. There were a couple of moments in the history of Palermo that the situation was not much different, you know? There is a very big period, starting from the 60s and till... Look at this lion, man. I think they counted something like 10 plus thousand victims in a period of 10 years during these mafia wars, as they call them. I mean, crazy, isn't it? And there are all sorts of stories of people being very much afraid to walk in Palermo after those markets that you saw back there would close. It was literally a very dangerous place to be. Now, what do you lot think about this fountain here, man? First of all, that building over there is the city hall. This fountain doesn't belong here. I mean, it really doesn't belong here. It was built for a rich guy in Florence who, at the end of the day, couldn't pay for it, and the sculptor, sold it to Palermo. And Palermo chose to put it in the smallest possible square. It's funny, isn't it? Anyway, this is not the reason why we are here. Although there is another story about this flipping fountain. In front of me is a building of a convent, like this one here. I mean, imagine the nuns waking up every morning and peeking at the naked statues. But even that is not the reason why we are here. You see, the convent doesn't have nuns anymore, but they do have a bakery, man. We can't leave the city without showing you a cannolo, right?
What you want?
This is an absolute marvel of a place, man. I mean, the vibe is phenomenal. So this is the convent where the nuns were living. Not anymore. Look at this thing, man. How about that, man? How about that for a canolo? Now, I arrived in Palermo 3 days ago, and I actually spent the first couple of days wandering around, you know, without the camera. And the thing I realized is how many abandoned buildings there are. I mean, it's absolutely devastating. Look at the one behind me, man. Hermetically closed. It's flipping crazy, isn't it? How it can look. Italy did receive funds to rebuild after the Second World War. The problem with Sicily is that most of these funds were actually taken by the mafia, so they never really reached their purpose. So imagine yourself in Palermo during those decades, man, running away from the city as soon as the markets would close, you know? And it was this reign of terror and the attacks of the mafia against everybody, state or civilian, didn't matter, that forced the Italian state to realize that mafia exists and it is a problem. I mean, up until those moments, mafia was a concept, you know? It's so weird. I mean, with the knowledge that we have today, it's so weird to grasp. Remember Giovanni, Falcone and Paolo Borsellino? Now it's time to tell their story and the story of one bad guy that decided to side with the good guys. So Italy managed to create the first anti-mafia law. I think it was in the beginning of the 80s, right after that second wave of the mafia wars. And immediately a big group of magistrates was formed. In this group of prosecutors, 2 of them were from here, were from Palermo. They were essentially from this here area where we are now, an area that is called Calza, which back in the day was the area of the Arabic community, back in the Norman days of the city. When a guy called Tommaso Buscetta decided to cooperate with the authorities against the mafia, those 2, the fact that they were from the same neighborhoods, from the same city, they could understand what is spoken and what is unspoken. Sicily reminds me of Crete. The Sicilians have exactly the same mentality as the Cretans, as we have in Crete, which means we are not direct. We go all possible ways to tell you something without telling it, you know? It's crazy, if you ask me, but we do that. And they also do it here. So imagine the young Paolo Borsellino and the young Giovanni Falcone right here in the Piazza Maggiore of Calza, playing around with other kids who later on became mafia people.
Un convento di monaci
convento.
di Teresa di Calcutta.
Cappuccini.
All'ottobre è il convento, chiuso da parecchi anni.
Grazie tanto.
Prego, prego, prego.
So yet another one of those deserted buildings. So the fact that Borsellino and Falcone could understand all the things that Tommaso Buscetta was saying, and especially the things that he wasn't saying, was a major help for the investigations. It was those investigations that led to the arrest and to the trial of more than 400 mafia bosses back then. So why did Tommaso Buscetta decide to cooperate with the authorities? Remember, he was also a mafia boss. Now, the problem with Buscetta was that in the second Sicilian mafia war, the Corleonesi, the mafia from Corleone, The same Corleone that gave its name to the Godfather heroes or anti-heroes. That was a mafia clan that came here to Palermo with the sole purpose to take over the drug commerce. I don't know if you guys can appreciate the charm of this here neighborhood, man. I mean, look at this. That's Calza. So for the Corleonesi, it was actually quite simple what needed to be done. Come over, kill everyone, and essentially take over the market, right? Porta dei Greci, the gate of the Greeks. Check it out, man, we are finally at the sea. So the whole operation of the Corleonesi was a huge success. They managed to destroy the opposition, which essentially led to Tommaso Buscetta fleeing for dear life to Venezuela. I think it was Venezuela. Either Venezuela or Brazil. One of those two. He returned only with the help of the Italian authorities, simply because he wanted to escape death. He was given a false identity and eventually died somewhere in Florida. Most of the things that we know about the mafia came from these testimonies, you know, by Buscetta. It's incredible how cryptic, how deep down in the shadows everything was regarding their modus operandi. Yeah, man, what can I say? The situation with the garbage is the least, to say, problematic. Would you ever imagine a car packed with explosives here in this area? Look at this. So this olive tree was planted back in July 1993 from the mother of Judge Borsellino. Flipping creepy, isn't it? And it says there that you that come to this place to contemplate and remember that not every Sicilian is mafiosi. Yeah, man. And not all the mafiosi are Sicilian. As a Greek and contemplating the state of my country at the moment, I cannot say anything about mafia being Sicilian and just Sicilian. They are certainly not the only ones. Very rarely you will hear me saying anything good about the state as a concept. Now this is one of those moments. Big up Borsellino and Falcone. Palermo, by the way, in terms of ultras, is quite a big entity. As a matter of fact, Palermo, even not considering the ultra culture, is a very popular team. I was reading about some statistics pointing out some 5 million supporters of the team worldwide, which is a lot for a team that is not a protagonist, you know. Starting the Super Tifo magazine like a maniac back in the day. I remember some very impressive groups, man, from Palermo. The Warriors Ultras Palermo. That was the group of a legendary fan of the team, Toto Rambo. The BRN, Brigate Rosanere. Those were a couple of very heavy names in the ultra scene, especially the Warriors, which, by the way, took their name from the film, you know, the cult legendary film, The Warriors. Come out and play. That one.
Warriors, come out to play.
Curva Nord Inferiore, the same here. So this is the thing with Palermo. Ever since the groups dissolved, they had divisions. I think the beginning of the end for all these groups, not only from Palermo, but everyone in Italy, was the fan card, the Tessera del Tifoso. And At this moment in time, I think we are talking only about 3 groups. The Curva Nord Inferiore, the Curva Nord 12, the 12th player, and Curva Sud. The fans of Palermo are friends with Roma, the ultras of Palermo, I mean. And not only Roma, I mean, they have friendly relations with Lecce and Padova. And the Dutch team of the Graafschap. That one is pretty amazing if you ask me. During the division between the Curva Nord, the upper and the lower, Inferiore and Superiore, I think there was a group from the Inferiore. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. On my way here, I passed outside of the clubhouse of a group, Borgo Vecchio Sisma. I think it's part of the Curva Nord Inferiore that had a friendship with the Ultras of Napoli from Curva B. And this is crazy for all sorts of reasons. Now, most of you who have seen the Napoli video know why it's crazy. Simply because the ultra groups of Palermo are friends with Roma, who hate Napoli, and the majority of the ultra groups of Napoli were friends with Catania, who hate Palermo. Until a couple of years ago, that was the case. You had one group from each team that were friendly. Well, not anymore. Even that connection was destroyed. And because of this, we reached the situation of last year's cup game between Napoli and Palermo, where it was mayhem upon the entrance of the Palermo fans. So now there is only hostilities between Palermo and Napoli. Check it out. Many phenomenal players started their career from Palermo. Dybala, look at Toni, Cavani. Look at that view behind. And this is the old banner of the Warriors, you see? Oh wow, this is glorious, man.
And it says up there, Curva Nord Patrimonio della Città.
I am amazed that it's so free to walk around. Crazy. Look at this. So this is to remember the Torino disaster of Superga, right? The team had some serious economical problems back in 2019 that were discovered upon the entrance of the team in the playoffs to try and qualify for the Serie A. The team of Palermo dissolved, you know, and they found themselves playing in the Eccellenza, the 5th tier of Italian football. I'm not entirely sure what that is, what that represents. New investors took over the team. They had to change the badge. I mean, they couldn't use the old badge. So that over there is the new one. Pretty amazing, if you ask me. I mean, the return of Palermo is a phenomenal story. Which Palermo, by the way, is owned by the City Group. I mean, it's a baby brother of Manchester City. What the fuck, man? Is this a mafia-related thing? Close to where I live. Bloody hell, man. So these people don't follow the concept of eating as you go. These are phenomenal. Just look at this thing, man. What was that, man? This was extraordinary. This thing, together with, how was it called? What we ate at Corinthians, you know? Corinthians. And no ends. This is the top 2 of things we have eaten during these trips. Ciao signora. Bei colori di Palermo. This lady was a ultra, I think. She didn't want to talk to us. As you probably have noticed by now, these people here don't like Napoli. And this has to do with the friendship between Napoli and Catania. Look at this door, man. Look at the Palermo players here. Wow. It says Catania merda, Catania arusi, Catania suc. Let's not. So it's 2:30. The game starts at 5. So let's get back to the accommodation to leave all this. Flipping hell, I'm traumatized, man. After all these brats who have kicked us out because of the cameras and of the stuff that I carry, I now tend to leave everything behind, you know? It's horrible. By the way, how we discussed the colors of the team, man, because they are certainly unique. I mean, unique. Also, Juventus had them, you know, in the beginning. But for Palermo, it seemed to be a very conscious choice, you know, made by the very founders of the team. You see, in the beginning, Palermo had the red and blue colors. More or less the same colors that Catania has, and many other Italian teams. Very generic, you know. So they opted for the pink and the black because it's flipping unique. But there seem to be many stories about these colors, you know. Another one is that it comes from the color of the local liquors. I'm not sure, to be honest. The most convincing one seems to be this one, representing the joys and the sorrows of football. As for Juventus, they were the first team to adopt this color. However, they got rid of it very fast. I mean, they chose to adopt the black and white, you know. When Palermo chose the pink, they kept it. That's the main difference. Palermo plays Spezia today. Spezia have also a very good home ground, man, with very passionate support. They are on the border between Liguria and Toscana. And because of that, there is also a song, which I will not say here because it's offensive, regarding their geographical position, you know. The one thing I can say about Spezia, which is all over the news the last days, is that a young Italian with an Egyptian name was stabbed a couple of days ago, probably because he had this Egyptian name. All right then, we are ready. So the stadium is something like half an hour, 35 minutes that way. Look at this situation here, man. I mean, so all these are little bags of shitties, of dog shitties. Wow, they are all over the place. We are in. Looks much better than yesterday, doesn't it? I think we are up there. Tell you what, man, having those mountains back there in the background is similar to Chile, right? How cool is that, man? They sing The Godfather. Palermo should be in Serie A, man. I mean, the fans deserve the Serie A. They are very good. They have a very good support. As for Spezia, big respect to them, man. I mean, they were 200, something like that. I saw them moving very often, actually. I didn't hear them sing, but it was because of the distance. And kudos to them, man. I mean, they need to go now back those 1,300 kilometers back to Spezia. So yeah, that's more or less it from Palermo. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. How are we doing, everybody? Good morning. We are outside the Falcone and Borsellino airport of Palermo. We are here to pick up the car. That is the highway going from the airport to Palermo. And it was this highway that Judge Falcone was following to go back to Palermo from a trip of his to Rome. After yesterday's olive tree at the street where Borsellino was assassinated, we come here to the place where some months earlier his friend Giovanni Falcone was assassinated. That is actually visible also from the highway. It was a huge explosion. I don't remember how many kilos of explosives were actually put here. So according to the internet, the painted hands are a symbol of mafia doing murders. The black hand, mano negra, is a code phrase used by the mafia bosses to ask if someone is willing to kill for them. Flipping hell. The explosives were actually put in that tunnel back there, or this one. Anyway, something similar, you know? Incredible tunnels, man, look at this. Every time there is a major punishment or a major incident from the state against the mafia reacts like this. They kill somebody important, you know? So the moment those 400 plus bosses were sent to prison, some months later, the two judges were executed. And the moment the Pope condones the mafia, then Padre Pino Pugliesi is executed. Incredible, isn't it?